This story takes place many years ago in a certain country, in a city where a humble shopkeeper earned his living through hard work and labor. He had worked tirelessly for years, sweating for his livelihood. But despite his efforts, he could not amass any wealth beyond his small shop. Yet he remained grateful to God, saying, "I am better than those who, like a gust of wind, accumulate riches through unlawful means." One morning as he was opening his shop, he saw an old friend approaching. When the friend entered the shop, he took out a pouch hidden in his shawl and placed it before the shopkeeper. He said, "My friend, I am about to go on a journey. This pouch contains 1,000 dinars. Can you keep it safe as a trust until I return? I have faith that you will protect it because there is no one in the city as honest as you." The shopkeeper replied, "Give me the pouch and travel with complete peace of mind. I will guard it with my life until you return." The friend handed over the pouch, bid him farewell, and left. The shopkeeper resumed his work, neatly arranging fabric rolls in his shop. Not long after, 2 or 3 young men arrived outside his shop. They were dressed in elegant and expensive clothes, their faces bearing expressions of arrogance. They dismounted from their horses and asked the shopkeeper to show them some fine fabric. One of them noticed a luxurious silk fabric in a corner and said, "Bring that one." The shopkeeper took it out and displayed it. They were so impressed that they couldn't hide their delight. One of them said, "Perhaps you don't realize how valuable this fabric is. We've searched the entire city and haven't found anything like it. Where did you get it from?" The shopkeeper explained, "This fabric is from an old stock. My usual customers cannot afford such expensive cloth, so it remained unsold." Hearing this, the 3 young men picked up the fabric and, without saying anything, started walking away. The shopkeeper rushed after them, saying, "At least pay for it before leaving." One of them, who appeared to be their leader, said, "Come to the royal palace tomorrow. We are courtiers of the king. Find us there, and we will pay you." The shopkeeper was left stunned, but knew that it was impossible to force them to pay at that moment. Days passed, and the shopkeeper, carrying the pouch entrusted by his friend, went home each night, hiding it carefully. The next day he rode his donkey to the king's palace to collect his payment. He was confident that he would soon receive his money. However, upon reaching the palace, he was met by palace guards who, after hearing his request, said, "Come back tomorrow. You will get your money then." The shopkeeper, who had expected immediate payment, left disappointed but hopeful. However, when he returned the next day, he was told to come back in a week. The same thing happened the following week. One day, frustrated, the shopkeeper thought to himself, "I've been running back and forth for weeks with no success. Today, I will not leave without my payment." When he reached the palace again, a kind-hearted palace guard pulled him aside and whispered, "You are a simple man. The king's courtiers have instructed us to keep delaying you until you give up. Think about it. How long have you been chasing them? There is no money for you here. Forget about your payment and move on." The shopkeeper, determined, replied, "I neither stole that fabric nor acquired it through unlawful means. I demand my rightful payment. If they don't pay me, I will go directly to the king." The guard sighed. "I have warned you. Do as you please, but I advise you for your own safety. Let it go." The shopkeeper refused to lose hope. One day, while traveling outside the city, he saw the same young men riding their horses at full speed. He approached them, greeted them with a smile, and politely asked for his payment. Hearing this, the young men burst into laughter. One of them sneered, "Have you gone mad? What payment? What fabric?" The shopkeeper, in his simplicity, repeated the entire story, describing his shop and the transaction. One of them scoffed, "Do you really think we need your insignificant piece of cloth? If we want something, we command it, and it is brought to us. We don't have time to visit markets and buy fabric from ordinary shopkeepers like you." With that, they pulled their reins and rode away. Realizing that he was about to lose his rightful money, the shopkeeper grabbed one of their horse's reins and pulled the rider to the ground. A scuffle broke out. The other 2, who had ridden ahead, heard the commotion and returned. Together, the 3 of them mercilessly beat the shopkeeper. Despite his injuries, the shopkeeper managed to tear the clothes of 2 of them and injure one's face and head. Eventually, they mounted their horses and fled, leaving him bloodied and bruised. When he returned home, his wife and children were horrified and asked what had happened. He recounted the entire incident and said, "Though I am injured, I am proud that I fought for my rights and stood up against the king's courtiers." For several days, he remained at home, nursing his wounds. Eventually, he mustered the strength to return to his shop. However, as soon as he arrived, 2 royal guards stood before him. He asked, "Why have you come?" The guards replied, "Come with us, and you will find out." Still weak from his injuries, he was taken to the police station where the chief officer glared at him. "How dare you? You attacked the king's courtiers and tried to kill them. You laid hands on highly respected individuals. How do you explain this?" The shopkeeper protested, "I only asked for the payment they owed me. They refused, attacked me, and I defended myself." The officer snapped, "Do you not realize that the king's courtiers are entitled to take anything they please? Do you dare demand payment from them?" The shopkeeper argued, "They came to my shop intending to buy the fabric, not to take it as a gift. I pursued my money lawfully." The officer declared, "I don't care what happened. The king has ordered your arrest, and all your belongings will be confiscated so that no one else dares to challenge his courtiers again." Tears filled the shopkeeper's eyes as his entire livelihood was seized. His shop, all its goods, and everything he owned were taken away. Left with nothing, he sat outside his empty shop, wondering how he would now provide for his wife and children. At that moment, he remembered the pouch his friend had entrusted to him. He thought, "My friend trusts me. He believes I would never betray him. But I need money to survive. I will borrow some from this pouch, invest it in a new business, and when I recover, I will return the full amount." With this thought, he went home, unlocked the room where he had hidden the pouch, and prepared to open it. However, a sudden fear gripped him. What if my new business fails? What if I can never return this money? The shopkeeper sat in deep thought, staring at the pouch. His hands trembled as he weighed his options. If I take this money and fail, I will have betrayed my friend. But if I don't, how will my family survive? His heart pounded as he loosened the pouch's knot. Just as he was about to reach inside, his young son entered the room. "Father, what are you doing?" the boy asked innocently. The shopkeeper quickly hid the pouch behind him and forced a smile. "Nothing, my son. Just thinking about something important." The boy sat beside him. "Mother says no hardship lasts forever. She says honesty always wins in the end." These simple words struck the shopkeeper like lightning. He closed his eyes and let out a deep sigh. What was I about to do, he thought. I would rather starve than betray someone's trust. Determined, he tied the pouch back securely and hid it away. Days passed, and the shopkeeper's situation worsened. He and his family barely had enough to eat. One evening, he sat outside his empty shop when a group of men in royal attire approached. "Are you the shopkeeper who fought with the king's courtiers?" one of them asked. The shopkeeper hesitated but nodded. "Yes, that was me." The man smiled. "The king wants to see you." Fear gripped his heart. Was this another trick? Would he be punished even further? But he had no choice. He followed them to the palace. Upon entering, he was surprised to see an elderly man sitting beside the king, his old friend who had entrusted him with the pouch. The friend smiled warmly. "My dear friend, I have returned from my journey. I heard everything that happened to you." The king then spoke. "My courtiers deceived me. They claimed you were a violent criminal, but I investigated the truth. You are an honest man who only fought for his rights. It is men like you who uphold justice in the kingdom." Tears welled up in the shopkeeper's eyes. The king continued, "As a reward for your honesty and bravery, I am granting you a new shop, bigger and better than before. I am also ordering those courtiers to pay double what they owe you." The shopkeeper fell to his knees in gratitude. His friend then asked, "By the way, where is my pouch? Is it safe?" The shopkeeper smiled, wiped his tears, and said, "It is untouched, just as you left it." His friend embraced him. "I knew you would never betray my trust." That day, the shopkeeper learned a powerful lesson. honesty and patience are always rewarded, even when the world seems unfair.